Hi, and welcome to another episode of Yoga for Rock Climbers. This is episode 2 of the series that I'm making for my fellow rock climbers, but also just anyone who wants to move their body. We're focusing specifically on shoulders and hips, both opening and mobility, and also strengthening and lots of good stuff. So today's episode is going to be for recovery, so focusing more on stretching, for if you've had a very tough practice and you just want to take it a little easier. But also for those of you who are maybe more on the beginner side when it comes to yoga, this is going to be very accessible, hopefully for everybody. So that being said, we have a little guest appearance here from my husky. I don't know if you can see her, Zaina. Anyways, Zaina doesn't do yoga, so Zaina's gonna go away now. All right. All right, so that being said, let's start off in child's pose. I love starting off in child's pose because it's a very grounding posture. It's very calming. So we're going to separate the knees wide, but you can also do this with your knees together. And then we're just going to bring the forehead down on the mat, reaching the fingertips forward, and then just relax here. And the idea is that you want to reach the fingertips forward and reach your hips back towards your heels to lengthen your spine. And we can start here by dropping the elbows on the mat and just starting to become aware of the breath, to find your grounding. This is the time to just let go of anything that happened today, to take your time to arrive into this moment, to notice the moment that you're in. Every single moment is going to be different. There's going to be different smells, different temperatures, different sounds. So just try to be aware of each moment that you live. And we're just going to stay here for another 5 breaths or so. Maybe you can already feel a little bit of a hip opener here. It is quite deep in the hips, so maybe some of you have the hips way higher than your heels, and that's totally fine. With time, the body will open, trust me. Now let's take 2 more breaths here. And then we're going to reach through the fingertips. So keep your hips where they are. Keep your forehead down on the mat. Just try to touch the top of your mat with your fingertips. So reaching as far as you can, feeling that stretch in the upper body. And then on your exhale, let's walk both hands over to the right. So both hands are off the mat, most likely on the right side of your mat, and to go deeper, you can place your left hand over the right hand. Keep pulling your left hip back towards your left heel and breathe into the left side of your body. In yoga, we talk a lot about sending the breath to certain areas of the body. So even if it's anatomically impossible, if you just focus on that area, you can kind of feel the breath going there. So if it's near the hips that you want to open, you can send the breath into your lower belly, and you might feel a different sensation in your hips. If you're trying to send the breath somewhere in the shoulders, then send the breath to your upper chest, and then you might feel it in your shoulder. On your next inhale, let's walk the fingertips back through center. And then exhale, both hands off the mat to the left. And breathe here. So here I'm really focusing on the right side of my body. So the right lung, the space between the right hip and the right shoulder, that whole line, trying to lengthen it, trying to open. And on your next inhale, let's come back through center. And then we're going to lift the hips off the heels and come into tabletop. So stacking your hips directly over your knees and your shoulders directly over your wrists. And here, just try to find a straight spine at first. So the navel squeezing in, the neck is in one line with the rest of the spine. We're not arching the back, we're not rounding, we're trying to be as neutral as possible. And then just breathe here in that neutral space. And then from here, we're going to arch the back. So dropping the belly on your inhale, pulling the chest open, gazing up so it's the whole spine. And then exhale, round your whole spine. So from the chin, rounding one vertebra at a time, tailbone tucks in. And then inhale again to arch the back. You can keep your eyes closed to try to feel this movement even more. Exhale to round. And when you round, push the mat away from you with both of your hands. Let's go for 3 more. Inhale to open. Exhale to round. Last 2. Inhale. And exhale. And last one, inhale to open, pulling the chest through. Exhale to round. On your next inhale, let's come back through center. Let's tuck the toes and just start to rock back and forth. So here you want to make sure that your fingers are spread wide and you're active through the fingertips. And just rocking back and forth as far forward as feels nice. You don't want to break your wrist. It's just being careful. And then we're going to come back to neutral. Let's turn the fingers so that they point towards the outer edges of the mat. So right fingertips are pointing to the right, left fingertips to the left. And then we're gently going to rock side to side. Try to keep your arms completely straight so that you really feel the stretch in the backs of the wrists. All right, and then coming back through center one last time. This time we're going to turn the fingers towards each other. So fingers point towards each other, fingertips are spread wide. On an inhale, open up your hands as much as you can, and then exhale, squeeze your hands into fists. Inhale to open, exhale to squeeze. One more time to open, and squeeze as hard as you can. Hold, straighten the arms. And then release. Let's come back to tabletop. So the toes are still tucked. We're going to just come into a seat. So sitting the hips on top of the heels. And we're just going to stay here. Hands can rest in your lap. You can close your eyes. Try to grow nice and tall. Imagine someone's pulling a string at the crown of your head. Relax your shoulders. Back of the neck is long. Ribs squeeze in. Navel squeezes in. And all the weight is on your heels. So you'll start to feel that there's quite a big stretch in the soles of the feet. Here we're stretching out the toes. We're also strengthening the toes and the ankles. We're going to stay here about 5 more breaths. If it gets too much at any point, you can always lean forward and take some weight off of your feet. Keep thinking of your posture, growing nice and tall. Just 3 more breaths here. I know it can get really painful. Just try to breathe through it, and then you'll notice that with the breath, things are a lot more, that you can go through them a lot easier. And a lot more manageable, that is the word I was looking for. All right, enough. Let's lift the hips off the heels, untuck the toes, and now you can sit on your heels. So this might already be a lot for the tops of your feet. We're just looking to find a counter stretch. If you want to go deeper, you can press your fingertips down into the mat. Engage the core, lean back slightly, and then lift the knees off the mat. So you might just lift them a little bit, you might lift them higher. It depends where you feel the stretch. So wherever you feel a stretch in the front of the feet, we hold here. And then you can play around, either keeping your fingertips down on the mat, or maybe balancing and having your hands at the heart space. So obviously this is a little bit more advanced. Just depends on your body, your accessibility, the mobility of your joints. So deeper is not necessarily better depending on your body and what you're capable of doing at the moment. All right, so this is meant to feel good, so just go wherever you need to feel that nice stretch. Now let's take 2 more breaths here. And then slowly, fingertips down on the mat. Gently release your knees down. Let's come back into tabletop. Good. Here we're going to extend the right leg back, tuck the toes, and just start to rock back and forth. So you want to keep your spine in that neutral position. The right leg is nice and straight. And we're rocking back and forth to stretch out the back of the right leg very gently. The next time your shoulders are over your wrists, let's lift the right leg and then step your right foot as far as you can to the left, tuck the toes, press into your right hand and look over your left shoulder. So we're creating a C shape in the body. And again, the stretch is in the right side. So breathe, really thinking of expanding this right side. And the best way I can explain it is if you think of a balloon. The first time you blow up a balloon, it's very rigid, but once you blow the air into the balloon, when it deflates, there's way more space. It's not as rigid as it was in the beginning. So just think of your body as a balloon. And 2 more breaths here. And on your next inhale, look forward. We're going to bring the right leg all the way to the right. Let's tuck the left toes under. And then we're sending the hips back and the hands forward as far as you can. And then you can rest your forehead down either onto a block or onto the mat. This is called gate pose or stretching the inner right thigh here. And at the same time, you want to squeeze your belly button in, send your hips back and up, and then fingertips reach forward. So it's kind of like child's pose where we started the practice, except that the right leg is out to the right. Keep the right thigh engaged. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And on your next inhale, let's come back onto the hands. And then the right knee comes back to tabletop. Left leg extends, tuck the left toes under, rock back and forth. Just getting a little bit of a stretch in the wrists, but mainly stretching out the back of the left leg here. Good. And then the next time your shoulders come over your wrists, pause. Let's step the left foot to the right of the mat. Press into your left hand and look over your right shoulder. And especially if you have some muscle pain, if you've been working out or climbing, you might feel a really nice stretch here in the left side of your body. Stretching out all that core. And take 2 more breaths. And on your next inhale, let's look forward. Left leg goes all the way over to the left. So the left foot is in one line with the right knee. Let's send the hips back, hands forward, forehead comes down to the mat. And breathe. Let's take 2 more breaths. Squeezing the left thigh, Pulling the hips back, feeling that big stretch in the inner left thigh. And on your next inhale, walk your hands underneath your shoulders. Let's lift the chest. And then the left knee comes underneath the body again in tabletop. Let's walk the hands one big step forward. Drop your chest and chin down on the mat. So here the idea is that the hips stay lifted and we're trying to lower the chest down on the floor. It's okay if the chest does not touch. And if this is way too much, you can bring your forehead down on the mat instead. And then just keep lowering your chest down to the mat. And we're also pulling the navel in and sending the hips back and up. So there's always that double action stretching out the spine. If your forehead is on the mat, you can stay here with the arms straight. Or you can bend your elbows, bring the hands to prayer, so hands clap together. And the thumbs come to the back of the head. And here you can keep pressing your chest down, and that should stretch out the triceps a little more. Two more breaths here. Keep pulling the hips back. Keep lowering the chest. All right, and then from here, if your elbows are bent, straighten your arms again. We're going to come all the way down onto our bellies, so you can just slide forward, make your way there however you need, and we're on the stomach. Now, we're going to stretch out the shoulders a little more. So the right arm can extend out to the right, perpendicular to the body. We're going to drop the right side of the head down on the mat. We're going to bend the left knee. Left fingertips are underneath the left shoulder. And then we're slowly going to roll onto the right side of the body. All right, and that should feel like a nice stretch on the right shoulder. If it's too much, come down onto your stomach again. Lower your right hand so it's closer to the right hip. That's if it's too much. If you want to go deeper, you can bring your right arm a little higher up. So just however you need, just make sure you come down onto your stomach first. And then roll back onto the right side. And here again, we're staying still, and we're using the breath to open up that right shoulder. Let's take 5 deep breaths here. All right, 3 more breaths. And on your next exhale, come back down onto your stomach, and we're going to switch sides. So left arm extends out to the left. We're coming onto the left side of the body. Bend your right knee. Right hand can come underneath the right shoulder. And we're going to roll onto the left side. So your right foot and your right hand are just there for support. And breathe, sending the breath into that right shoulder, right side of the chest. Now let's take 2 more breaths here. And then slowly coming back down onto the belly. Let's place the hands underneath the shoulders, tuck your toes. On an inhale, come into high plank. Knees can assist, or you can just press up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your hips up high. Straighten out the legs, and here you can move around. So I love to bend and straighten the legs, moving the hips side to side. And you want to engage your core here as much as possible so that you take off weight from the shoulders and wrists. And here we can come really high onto the toes. And then exhale, lower the heels back down. Let's do that again. Inhale, high up onto the toes. Exhale, lower the heels. Inhale one more time, high up onto the toes. Exhale, lower. Let's look forward. we're going to step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. If you need to heel toe the foot to get there, that's fine. Left hand stays planted. Inhale, the right arm reaches up. And you can exaggerate this opening here if it feels good for the shoulders. So you don't have to be in a one perfect alignment. Feel free to go deeper to make it so that it feels nice. And on your next exhale, both hands come down on the mat. Step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. And then let's bend the knees, coming into a Malasana Yogi squat. So here the heels can be on the floor, but it requires quite a bit of Achilles tendon flexibility. So if you can't reach, you can stay on your toes. That's also fine. And your fingertips can stay on the mat, or you can bring your hands to your heart. And let's hold. And here, all you want to do is try to open up the front body. So squeeze your shoulder blades together, open up the hips, and again, imagine this imaginary string making you grow nice and tall. And really getting into the hips here, 2 more breaths. And on your next exhale, we're going to release the fingertips down on the mat, straighten the legs, turn your toes in, heels out, and then fold forward. So the back wants to stay straight. You don't have to fold completely. And if this is too deep, bring your feet parallel to each other. Bend your knees a lot so that your stomach and thighs are connected. And then just allow yourself to dangle or fall over your legs. And you can always have the other fold, whatever feels nicer for you. And here, take a deep breath in, halfway lift. Try to make your spine as long as possible. And then we're going to step back, high plank. Inhale here, exhale, come all the way down to the floor. All right, you can use the knees to get there as well. Let's lift the chest, and we're going to bring the elbows underneath the shoulders. Hands are flat down on the mat for Sphinx Pose. Here you want to pull your chest forward, so you can literally pull with your hands on the mat. And you want to squeeze the glutes and press your hips down into the mat to protect your lower back. And let's take 5 breaths just looking forward. And keep lengthening the neck as well. It's part of the spine. And then we're going to look over the right shoulder. So just releasing that left side of the neck. Keep pulling your left shoulder back and breathe. 5 breaths. And inhale, come back through center. And then exhale, look over to the left. 5 breaths here. Keep lengthening the spine. Keep pressing the hips down into the mat. Lots to think about. And inhale, come back through center. Exhale, release the chest down on the mat. Tuck your toes, hands are underneath the. And you can either press up to a high plank or come through child's pose. So pressing into your hands, bringing your hips all the way back towards your heels. And then inhale, lifting the hips up high, downward facing dog. And take 2 more breaths here. Your knees can stay bent, of course. And then we're going to look forward. Left foot steps on the outside of the left hand. And then the left arm reaches up to the sky. Deep stretch here. Feel free to exaggerate it if it feels good. Just keeping the muscles in your legs engaged. 2 more breaths. So always looking to expand, to find length. On your next exhale, both hands come down to the mat. Let's step into Malasana Yogi squat again, either flat on the feet or onto the toes. And trying to find a little bit more length. And then we're going to sit down. So you can use your hands to lower the hips back down on the mat. All right, so we're sitting down like this, feet are wide apart. We're going to place the hands on the mat behind us, and then we're just going to drop the right knee down to the floor, or as close as possible, and then lift. And then the left, and then inhale to lift. So every time you exhale, we're going down to the mat. Inhale to lift. To the left. Inhale, lift. One more time on each side. And left. Good. Let's just cross the legs, so normal cross-legged seat. And we're going to fold over our crossed legs. So both sit bones are touching the mat. You can always sit on a pillow or on a block if you need a little bit more elevation in your hips. And then let's slowly fold. So your arms can reach out in front of you. Forehead does not have to touch the mat, but if it does, that's also good. And you can relax your elbows. So we're not very active here. We're pretty soft. And on your next inhale, let's slowly come back up. Now we're going to do the same thing, except with a bind of the arms. So let's interlace the hands behind the lower back. On an inhale, open up the heart. And you can either stay here, or you can tuck your chin into your chest and fold, bringing the crown of the head down to the floor. And at the same time, you're lifting your arms off your back. And on an inhale, slowly rise up. Let's keep the interlace of the hands. We're bringing the hands onto the right hip and then bringing your chin down to your right shoulder. And either you can stay like this, or you can play around with the angle of your chin. So I find sometimes just changing the angle a little bit helps me to find that really deep stretch. And it's a stretch in the left side of the neck, maybe even going down to the left shoulder, left arm. So wherever you feel that nice stretch, let's stay here and breathe. Deep breaths. And here you imagine you're sending the breath to the left side of your neck. 5 breaths. And on your inhale, slowly come back through center. Keep the bind of your arms. Bring both arms onto the left hip. And this time, chin comes down to left shoulder. And again, you can play around with the angle of your chin. And once you find that nice stretch, pause there and breathe, sending the breath into the right side of your neck. And you might even feel it in your right jaw. And just every time you breathe in, feeling the stretch intensify. And let's come back through center. Release the hands. You can place them on your knees for a second. Just close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Notice any after effects in your upper body, around the shoulders especially. And then we're going to stretch out the legs and the shoulders again. So we're going to extend the legs out in front of us. And we're going to cross the right foot over the left. The arms reach up to the sky. And then we're going to cross the left elbow over the right. Bend both elbows so the backs of the hands are looking at each other. And then see if maybe you can clap your hands together. So the full hand will probably not touch, but maybe the fingertips can touch the palm. And if this is not possible, then you can just keep your hands to prayer or not at all binding them. So if you have the bind, let's stay here. You want to lift the elbows away from your body and up. So I'm going to turn to the side so you can see that a little better. All right, so lifting. Let's take a few breaths here as we try to lengthen the spine, squeeze the belly button in, engage the core. And then on an exhale, you can fold. So your elbows might just touch by the knees, and you can allow your spine to round. You want to breathe in the space between your shoulder blades. Try to go as deep as you can, obviously within your limits. And then breathe into the back. And I'm not going to do it, but you can, so you can bring your forehead down to your arms. So resting your forehead into the elbow creases. And the only reason I'm not doing it is because of the microphone, otherwise I would. And let's breathe here, 5 breaths. Keep your legs active, keep squeezing the navel in. And on your next inhale, let's slowly rise up. Now we're undoing the bind of the legs and the arms. Inhale. Now let's cross the left foot over the right and the right elbow over the left. Bend both elbows, backs of the hands are facing each other, and then maybe you can clap the hands together. If not, you can also just fold without the bind. Inhale, let's lift the elbows away from the body and up. Take 2 breaths here just to find lots of length. You can maybe already feel the stretch between the shoulder blades. And then on your next exhale, keeping that length in your spine, squeeze the belly button in and fold. Now let's take 3 more deep breaths here. And on your next inhale, slowly make your way back up. Release the bind of the hands, undo the bind of the feet. Inhale, reach the arms above the head. Exhale, squeeze the navel in, fold forward, hinging at the hips. Wherever you are, try to keep your spine straight so you don't have to go all the way down. Just try to keep your spine nice and long. We're not rounding at the lower back. That's really what we want to avoid. So sticking the hips back, trying to glue the stomach to thighs, and it might take a while. If this is impossible, you can also keep your knees bent, gluing the stomach to thighs, and then with time, straightening out the legs. Or you can keep a strap around your feet, spine nice and straight, and fold forward like so. All right, let's hold here for 5 breaths. And on your next inhale, slowly make your way back up. We're going to place the hands just behind the hips. Either legs are straight or bent. On an inhale, let's press into the heels, lift the hips up high, reverse plank, or alternatively, reverse tabletop. Big stretch for the backs of the wrists and for the chest. Let's hold for 3, 2, and 1. Exhale, come all the way back down to the mat. 1 vertebra at a time, we're going to come all the way down to the back. All right, and here, bring both knees into your chest, squeeze the knees in tightly, maybe rock side to side if that feels good. And we're going to keep the right knee into the chest and extend the left leg long. Now you want to keep your left leg nice and active. And then we're going to bring the right knee a little bit off to the right side, as if you wanted to bring your right knee into your right armpit. And here, the right hand can hold the outer blade of the right foot. And we're going to lift the right ankle over the right knee, so it's a half happy baby. You want to pull your right knee down into your right armpit. So we're looking for a 90-degree bend in the right knee. And then the left hip stays grounded, so left hand can come on the left hip for support. Flex your right toes. And in each inhale, try to blow up your lower belly, so we're really sending the breath towards the hips. So lower belly. 2 more breaths. And then we're going to bend the left knee and cross the right ankle over the left knee, figure 4. Let's lift the left foot off the mat, interlace your hands behind the left thigh or in front of the left shin, whichever is more accessible for you, making sure that your shoulder blades stay grounded. Let's take 2 more breaths here. You're pulling the left knee towards you, actively pressing the right knee away from you. And then we're going to drop the left foot down on the mat. Now, either you do this with your hands or you have a strap. You can place the strap around your right foot, and we're going to extend the right leg up to the ceiling. So if you have a strap, it's around the right foot and you can hold, or you can just hold the back of your right leg, or the foot, if you can reach the foot without the shoulders lifting off the mat too much. And we're staying here. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can straighten your left leg. So the left leg is flat down on the mat. And let's breathe here. Being careful, never going too crazy here. About 80% of your maximum. Just looking for that nice, deep hamstring stretch without feeling any sharp pains in the back of the knee. Let's take 2 more breaths. And if you have the strap around the foot, you can release it off to the side. We're going to bend the right knee 90 degrees. The left hand will guide the right knee to the left, and the right arm reaches out to the right for a twist. Try to keep your shoulders grounded on the mat here. And breathe, feeling the twist the whole length of the spine. So when you breathe into your stomach here, you should feel a compression and release created from the twist in your belly. And 2 more breaths. And slowly coming back through center, both knees come into the chest. Give yourself a big hug. And then we can extend the right leg long. Left knee stays in the chest. With both hands, pull your left knee in towards your body. And then we're going to bring the left knee a little off to the left. So as if you wanted to pull left knee into left armpit. And then from here, half happy baby. Left hand holds on to the outer blade of the left foot. Let's lift the left heel so it's directly over the left knee. Flex the left toes and then pull down. So imagining you want that left knee to come into your left armpit onto the floor. I've seen some people who can do that. I don't think that's ever going to happen for me, but we are where we are, and that is fine. So wherever you are, it's all good. And as long as you're staying focused on your breath, you're keeping the breath nice and deep, and you're staying in the present moment, just giving yourself this time for yourself, to be present with yourself, to do something good for your body, to recover, to heal. And from here, we're going to cross the left ankle over the right knee. So bending the right knee, crossing the left ankle over the right knee, and then interlacing your hands behind the right thigh or in front of the right shin. Pulling the right knee towards your body and pushing the left knee away from you. And now let's release the right foot down on the mat. If you have that strap, you can take it again, place it around the sole of your left foot. Inhale to extend the left leg and stay here. Or if you want to deepen, you can straighten the right leg. And if you don't have a strap, holding the back of the leg is fine. Keep this left leg active. Flex the toes, press through your left heel, pull the toes towards your face. And even though we're working on the left leg, the right leg is still active. It's not sleeping yet. And let's release the strap. Let's bend the left knee. Right hand can guide the left knee all the way over to the right. Left arm extends out to the left. The left knee does not have to touch the floor at all. You can even place a pillow under the left knee if that feels nicer, or it can just hang in the air. And looking over your left shoulder here. Let's take 2 more breaths, just feeling the effects of the twist along the spine and in the stomach. And we're going to slowly come back through center, bending both knees, giving yourself a big tight squeeze, maybe lifting the forehead up towards the knees. And then we're going to release. Feet down on the mat, knees are still bent, and let's just allow the knees to fall out to either side for butterfly pose. Now it's very deep in the hips if your feet are very close to the body, but if you allow your feet to slide a little further away from you, it's a little less intense. You can rest your hands on your stomach and chest, or you can open up the arms wide to either side of you. If you have a pillow with you, you can place the pillow under your upper back, so behind the rib cage between the shoulder blades, and that will really help open the chest more. If you have a soft block or a hard block, it's just a little less comfortable, you can do the same thing, placing the block the length of the spine underneath you. And that will help open up the chest more. And if you don't have any props, that is also fine. You can just do like me and lie flat on the mat. And here you can close your eyes and just feel the openness of the front body. So the openness of the chest, the openness of the hips. With each breath, allowing your body to soften more. And with this openness of the body, just feel open to life, to whatever the universe has to offer. You are open to receive anything life wants to give you. And you can stay here in your reclined butterfly, or at any point you can extend your legs out in front of you, coming into Shavasana, and relaxing your body completely. And I hope you enjoyed this very calm, very relaxing practice. Please let me know in the comments below what you thought of the class. I really, really appreciate any feedback. And I hope that you enjoyed the class and that you might considering subscribing to my channel for future videos that I will be uploading every single week. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, and I will see you soon. Namaste.